The Hyperion XP-1 is a 221 miles per hour hydrogen-powered hypercar, but it is just a small part of a bigger mission according to the founder. And in this video, I'm going to share the spec and tech of this innovative car, and then, of course, we're going to discuss the design. Hey everybody, it's TheSketchMonkey here and welcome back to the channel. Now this is an interesting one because Hyperion claims that the XP-1 not only has a 0 to 60 time in 2.2 seconds, but they also claim that it has a range of 1,000 plus miles before it needs refueling, which is just nuts to think about because your body and mind will need refueling long before the car ever does. And this means that you'll never really be in a situation where you have to wait for the car to fill up, because it happens while you're sleeping, since the range of the car lasts way longer than you'll be able to stay awake. However, the car itself sort of acts as a frontman for Hyperion's main mission, and this is to expand the hydrogen infrastructure. The XP-1 has been in development for over a decade now, but as the CEO says himself, it's mainly used to draw attention to the use of hydrogen as a power source in future vehicles. And personally, I'm all for it. I think it's great for innovation and progression within the automotive field to explore ideas like this, and what better way to do it than to create a hypercar as an example of what this technology is capable of. The idea is to build a massive network of hydrogen refill stations similar to what Tesla has done with their supercharger stations. So what's great about hydrogen is pretty obvious. It's quick refueling, a pretty much unlimited supply, and of course the range which is about 3 times in general that of an electric car. Hydrogen tanks are also not affected negatively by being reloaded over and over again like a typical battery, and the performance of the car and the performance of the hydrogen power is not affected by heat at all. But the drawbacks here, of course, are the lack of infrastructure, and this comes with a much higher cost than battery-powered cars, since most of us don't live anywhere near a hydrogen filling station. However, if hydrogen becomes more mainstream as a power source in the future for cars and other vehicles, it will naturally lower the cost of production and operation at a larger scale, because when you scale things and the demand gets higher, the competition goes up and the cost obviously goes down. And Hyperion is planning on building 300 XP-1s with expected production start in 2022, and I really wish them all the best because I want to see this craziness in production. No pricing info yet, but I think it's fair to say that if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Now let's talk about the design of the Hyperion here. The CEO, Angelo Cafarantes, used to be the innovation group manager at Mattel, and whose job was to come up with new Hot Wheel car designs, and this design kind of reminds me of that, so it started to make more sense when I read that, because that's the feeling I get from this car. The proportions of the car are almost cartoon-like, and it just has that Hot Wheels feel to them. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna, of course, jump into Photoshop. I'm gonna show you all the views of this car from side view, front view, perspective, and so on, and let you know what I think about the car. So looking at it from a side view and a front view, it really reminds me of a Bugatti Veyron. Do you see it yourself? You have these big, massive wings here on the side, and then you have the almost horizontal lights sitting down here within this wing, very low down in the front end. And this is typical Bugatti Veyron placements of the graphic design. And also you have almost like a widened horseshoe grill at the bottom there. If we just shorten it like this, it would basically be a Bugatti front end on this car. It looks pretty cool from this view, but I do have some issues with the front fenders here. I think this surface right here is too undefined. And what I mean by that, if you look at it, Now this is just a random probably in Keyshot, but when you look at it, Keyshot takes the light and projects it or visualizes it pretty accurately. So what you see here is what you would see in real life. So as you can see here, you have a highlight right here, and then it goes into a darker shade of gray right here, and then it's a highlight again here, and then back to a darker shade right there. So what this means is that the surface has a lot of bends in it. It's not a smooth curvature to this surface right here, and these are details that, in my opinion, sets a high quality design apart from the rest of the cars. Now this, I know it's just a concept, but these are details that I want to bring up. Also, another thing that is kind of interesting in the front end here are these two things right here, because they are so small, these graphic features in the front, these two holes or whatever they are so small in compared to everything else that they kind of become almost a little annoying. I either want to make them bigger and make them more pronounced, or I just want to delete them altogether. But having it like this, it's confusing. I don't know what it is. It probably has some cool function to it, but graphically in the front, it is one of these things that you kind of want to smear off and get away from the bottom, from the face of the car, clean that up. And also same thing with this piece right here, this black part. I'm not sure what this is, but it sits right in the middle of the face of the car, and this tower here in combination with these two things in the middle, it gets a little busy in the front end of this car. And those are a couple of details that I would like to change on the front end graphically of this car. And then you have a two-tone trim piece right here, or almost like a mustache that goes right here. And this is also something that I wouldn't want to keep if I could change the design of this car, because you have the same width all over. There's no dynamic feeling to this thing because you have the same width all over this piece, and it just doesn't look like it's fitting in the front end of this car. So there are a few things that could be changed in my opinion on this front end. But now let's have a look at the rear view here and let's discuss this. Same thing here that we have in the front fenders. It is a cool looking car. The graphics are interesting, and this reminds me of the Lotus with the tunnels going through the entire car, which is very cool. But I feel like the graphics and the design, the overall styling of the car, it lacks some confidence. It feels like they want to maybe do something crazy, such as this area right here. They want to do something, but I'm not sure what they are trying to do, because the margins for how things connect with each other are so small that there is no definitive shape that you can understand that the designer went for. It's very hard to explain, but it's same with the surfacing here. You have different kinds of shades of gray and white here, so that means that the surface is not really a smooth surface. If you were to put this into Alias, which is a 3D software, and you put the chrome texture on the car, it would be really interesting to see the fenders on this car, how the chrome would be visualized in Alias, because then you can really see every imperfection in the surface of the car. I'm not sure if that is due to Keyshot here, or if it's actually a very unsmooth surface right here. Graphically, I kind of like the rear end here. It looks different. I wish they were more confident with this piece right here and really stretch this corner out, or not stretch it out at all and have it be cut here. Right now, it's sort of in the middle and just hanging over this hole or something in the body of the car. I'm not sure the intent from the designer what it was. But one thing I really like here is the flow from this piece up here, and then he goes into down this graphic piece down here, and this is a good connection of graphic design, that we have some flow in the design of the rear end of this car. I also kind of like this shape of this diffuser here. It's very unusual shape, and this car feels like it's a mixture of, almost like it has an exoskeleton that is protecting an organic being inside. So it's a very interesting design, and I could probably talk about this for hours, but I'm gonna try and keep this video semi-short at least and not go crazy. But for me, I think the best view of this car is definitely this view right here with a low front 3/4 view. You can barely see this graphic piece here in the middle here because this is the exposure, because of the exposure of this picture. You can barely see these two, but I really would like to just erase them like this and then have this be the same body color, so we have an entire grille that stretches from one corner to the other without interruption of any graphical features in the middle, smack middle of the car, if that makes sense. But here again, you can see the fenders here having not a really smooth surface here, and I really want to change that to be a smooth surface and have more confidence in the surfacing of this car. One thing I really do like here is this side blade here. You talk about Audi R8 upgrade with the R8 side blade, which we thought was really cool when that came out. But this looks like it's a separate piece that kind of hangs outside of the car, which is very cool to see and something I haven't seen before. And if that makes it into production, I mean, it's definitely going to be a very, very expensive car, because I don't want to think about the manufacturing cost of a piece like that. I just want to quickly mention something in side view here that it's a little bit confusing to me, because we have a very almost organic rear end here with very nice curvatures like this that goes like that, and then we have a super sharp front end with two pieces that are mirrored like this graphically. So what I would do is either apply some of this sharpness to the rear end, or which I would prefer would be to apply some of this softness and organic pieces to the front end, so that we have a front end that maybe ends something like this, instead of having it be inverted like this and a very sharp tip right there. It's stuff like that you need to make the design flow in both the front and the rear end. But other than that, I think it's a very interesting design because it's so new. It's something we haven't seen before, and I'm really excited. I really hope they put this car into production, because imagine seeing this and hearing this weird hydrogen powered machine out on the streets. I think that would definitely be a wake-up call that now we're definitely in a new era of car designing and car engineering. Those are my thoughts on the Hyperion XP-1. I hope this video is not going to be too long. I know I rambled a lot, but it's a lot to talk about here, and I just want to share my thoughts with you. It's also so much fun to do it. As I said, I can probably go on for another hour talking about this design. I really like this ribbon thing that goes right here. It's a very organic looking thing, and it's almost a new take on what an exoskeleton for a car could look like. It looks like it's protecting the car in a very elegant and beautiful way. Anyway, let me know what you think about the Hyperion, and if you're excited to see this car out on the streets. Thank you so much for watching. I'm TheSketchMonkey. I will see you in the next video. Take care.